And we are brand new and live with a bunch of new things going on. In case you didn't see it, we just now included our sponsors on our podcast. We want to thank Broken Egg and Tectonic Craft Studios for providing some stuff for us. And today, at the end of the show, at the end of the media section, we'll be giving away three gift certificates to Tectonic Craft Studios. And at the end of it, I'll message you and you'll send me stuff. And I'll get you the codes. Which, don't forget, he is definitely having reduced shipping on all of his stuff this month. So get your stuff. So, John, what episode are we on?
Episode 18, I think we said.
Hey, 18? We're on 18? Wow. We've been doing this for a while. Which, we need to talk about that. Next week, guys, we will be on, but after next week, we will be off for 2 weeks. Isn't it?
So be sure and stay tuned because next week is our holiday episode. There will be cookies. There will be chocolate. There will be singing.
So we will definitely be playing some fun stuff next weekend. We'll be off the 24th and the 31st, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to have stuff for you. I have 2 reviews, one for a board game and one for an RPG. John says you'll have a mini movies?
Minis and movies. I'm not going to promise a 40K review because, Jesus, I haven't gotten to it yet, and there's no guarantee I will yet, but that's in the plans. Plus, there'll be at least one episode of The Adventures of Sewer Bear hitting at some point in there.
Sweet. And then, Kathy, what do you got planned for us during this Christmas time off?
I have one miniature for the raffle, Aaron, the raffle winner from November. Okay. I have another miniature that I will be painting in December and shipping out in December to our December raffle winner of our Patreon subscribers. And I will have a video. The bases that we made in my last video will be painted in this video.
Sweet.
So, how to paint these bases. Yep. So,
guys, if you haven't noticed, if you want any of these cool things going on, please subscribe to our Patreon. It helps us keep our lights on, helps us keep paying the bills. It's not cheap, but it's not super expensive. And every bit of money we take in, we try to find ways to give it back to you. Other than that, like I said, it's $1 level. It's a big thank you. You get the pre-ramble. $2 level. You get a dice. If you have not gotten your dice, because I found out some people didn't get it because their stores messed them up or their post office messed it up, let me know, and we'll definitely get you your dice. $5, you get all of our 3-for-1 special, which is what we just talked about. And then at the $15 level, you get put in a drawing for a miniature painted by Kathy. By her, she gets to choose it. And if you know Kathy's painting, she's an amazing artist. And then we have a special $20 one that's going to be coming up. That if one person donates $20 to our patron, after that gets put in and paid for, Kathy will rap Wild Wild West by Will Smith on the show. All we need is one person for 1 month.
True story. You want to make me make a fool of myself? Then let's...
you need help? I do that shit on my own.
That's what I'm thinking. Also, we've been talking with, like I said, we're doing some special things with Broken Egg and Tectonic Craft Studios that we're going to be including on the Patreon. We got some really cool stuff lined up. Can't talk about it yet, but we have our graphic artist working, so you can do it. Actually, Congo, you can pledge $20 a show if you'd like, but people that do it, Hitton's going to beat you to it.
Oh dear God!
I hope somebody does because this is going to be amazing.
Thank you, but oh my God!
I just can't wait to see what Gonzo chooses for next, and then what Kathy and I choose for Gonzo after that.
Yeah, we try to give each other crap.
I love you, John. You're awesome.
Also,
I try.
Of course, Patreon had changed up all their stuff that's happening. So if you get to see a change to your bill, it's not us, it's them.
Yeah.
And if you have a problem with that, talk to us. Maybe we can work something out. We really need your help with this. If not, we understand if you have to leave.
It's negatively affected a lot of people who own Patreon. I hope it doesn't hurt overall, but hopefully just a thing where, I mean, I'm looking at, I have a couple of different things I patronize, and I'd like to just I'm just giving the extra money. And now if it means they get more money and I pay a little bit more, that's cool. I'm not going to lower any of my levels. Maybe you have to in some cases if it ends up being a little too much for you guys. But the real hard part is if you're have a lot of different things you patronize, they're going to charge you a little fee for each one. It's not a huge fee, but it's a little bit.
What Patreon did, Maximum DT, is instead of us paying for your services and paying the fees to process your payments, you pretty much, what it is they're going to put on a 39-cent fee plus 2.9% or 2.9% on top of what you're doing. And so you'll be paying 39 cents plus 2.9%.
35 cents and 2.9%, yes.
Yeah. On top of what you pay. So if you're paying $1, you're paying like $1.50 roughly.
Yeah.
For every time you donate. Which it can be, I mean, depending on how much you donate, yeah, it can add up. Yeah, I guess someone.
That's what I said, DT. That is exactly what I said. It's like a shitty tax on patrons for pledging their support to us.
Yeah, it's really just the money coming the different way, rather than it being most of it going to us. We're losing. They say most creators got about 85-93% of their funds. Now everyone's going to get 95%. So their heart's in the right place, but I'm not sure this was the right way to do it.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if you have an issue with it, come and talk to us. We're kind of thinking about what we can do to help y'all out, because we do want you to help us, but we don't want you to feel horrible about doing it or break your bank.
Yeah, and I'm following this pretty carefully, and I'm looking at some of the options as other people who I follow talk about them and see what we could possibly do as options.
So with that said, let's go ahead and start with our drinking. Kathy, what are you drinking tonight?
I am once again drinking Bombay Sapphire gin mixed with ginger ale, and I have discovered that only eating pizza for lunch as the only food I ate makes my gin a bit more effective than I thought it would. Also,
yes,
I have coffee. So, stimulant, and gin. Woohoo!
John, what do you got for tonight for us?
Well, I finished the screwdriver I had earlier, and then now I've got some black cherry whiskey Jim Beam mixed with cherry Coke for extra cherry. And I also have not eaten since lunch, but that's okay. I will just pull my adult pants up and get ready to man up. It's going to be unfortunate.
Shall I man up as well?
Just pull your adult up. You can adult up. My roommate gets upset when I say man up. You know what I mean.
I mean, I guess I could...
All right, here we go.
So what are you drinking? I have dinner.
I did have dinner. I had tacos. But I'm drinking the last of my winter grind coffee stout and having some more sortilege. But I'm also going to be snacking on some Reese's snack mix during all this. So with that said...
That's the one that has the Reese's Pieces and the tiny Reese's peanut butter cups and peanuts?
Yes, it does.
Oh my god, I had that yesterday! I felt like it needed more salty stuff in it, though.
So.
Not touching that.
So here we go, guys. I hope you have a good time.
God, I hate you.
Move on.
All right.
And this stuff is still good. So with that said, John, you actually brought this up, and we saw it, and I figured it'd make a good discussion for us, because you brought up the painting.
Oh, the
hobby streak. Yes. And so we wanted to go ahead and talk about that. What can you tell me? Where did you get this?
I have to say, I can't take any credit from it. I was on Twitter at work one day, and Twitter's perfect bite-sized thing for me to check at work here and there. And Chris Miller from Lost Hemisphere had shared it, and I'm like, that's interesting. It's a good way to keep yourself motivated.
Mm-hmm.
So I grabbed that and sent it home to myself in a message so I wouldn't forget, and just started cataloging what I was doing. And so far, it has kept me going every day. I've even got one to post for today after we get done with the podcast.
Cool.
I will have to actually paint after the podcast because with my Adepticon staff meeting and with the podcast, I have not actually had time to paint yet today.
Well, I haven't painted anything. I put a lot of models together, but it's really cool because it's not like it's a big commitment. The whole idea is that every day, or every day that you can, you hobby at least 30 minutes. Paint, base, put models together, whatever.
File
hobby
mold
at least 30
lines.
minutes. Yeah, filed mold lines, however you're doing it. You take pictures of, people say just one picture. I actually take before and after just because it's more interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And just so you keep yourself going. And then you post it on social media and you hashtag hobby streak, keep track of what day you're on, and you keep going. And then you can just keep challenging yourself to keep going, or if you have to stop for a reason, you challenge yourself to beat your last best. And 30 minutes really is not much. Honestly, I find I've been doing more. I think one day I did 35, one day I did 45. The rest I've been doing an hour because I just listen to a podcast while I'm hobbying, and it's about an hour long. It's perfect. But it's kept me focused. Some nights I'm like, yeah, I'm just chilling. I'm like, no, I should continue that hobby streak and just get some more stuff together. And,
I'm at Hobby Streak, hashtag Hobby Streak Day 4. Should I paint tonight after we're done? I will be at hashtag Hobby Streak Day 5. So I feel like I need to, because otherwise tomorrow I will be back to Hobby Streak Day 1.
Yeah, I know.
So that's how that works. I miss a day, I'm back to Day 1.
I'm at Hobby Streak Day 0. Because
Dude!
I decided not to do it until after the show because I have a hard time painting my miniatures. That is my biggest thing. It's mostly because I suck at painting, so I have a hard time getting motivated to paint. And I think that's why. We will change this over time. So we got to figure out what we can do to try to keep people motivated.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, I think this is a really good idea. And we've had a lot of people share our post and share this information because they think it's really cool too. Because we have a lot of people on Facebook that, do a hobby.
That like us. Yay!
Yay!
That like to hobby. That like to paint. That like to, assemble models and stuff. Yeah.
And boy, do I have models to assemble. I can't even tell you.
Oh, yeah. So, one of my biggest things about painting is there's a reason why my Grimkin have the sketch style, because I suck at painting.
There's nothing wrong with the sketch style as a building block to later add extra color.
No, you don't know me. I hate painting because I really suck at it.
I had somebody looking at my Necromunda stuff, and if you looked at our Facebook page, in my Necromunda album, I have work in progress pictures of the Goliath gang that I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
And it started out with a sketch style, with a black base and rust zenithal highlight, and then I just dry brushed the secret weapon weathered wood, which is kind of an off-white. Mm-hmm. I just dry brushed that over it to pick out the highlights. And I had somebody today tell me that they looked done because I had already completed the flesh tones. But I hadn't done it and added any color to the armor. I only have 2 guys that are fully completed, and I added like blue and red to one, and I added purple and yellow to the other. And I plan to do colors for the bold like superhero kind of colors to all of the gangers. But this guy said they all look done already because I already had the skin tone and the metallic finished. So he was like, I thought they were done. So sketch style, you just throw a little metallic on there, throw a little skin tone on there, and people are going to be like, that's done, And then you can come back in later with some color if you want to.
No, see, my sketch style is I take a miniature, prime it black, paint it with a darker gray, take that darker gray, dry brush it with a lighter gray, dry brush it with a lighter gray than that, then dry brush it with the white, and then dry brush it with another white, and then touch up the white where I want the white to show more. And then I put a little pop of color around the eyes or the mouth, and then I base it and go, done.
See, essentially, that's what I was doing. Only I chose, instead of black, gray, and white as a monochromatic, I chose black, rust-colored primer, and an off-white. That's the only real difference. And then I just added but the color I used was a very translucent color, so it would let that grayscale kind of show through. And that's the key. Like, if you have, like, Warcolor, the brand of paint Warcolor has these translucent and transparent paints, and it says right on the label, transparent or translucent. So you know. It's got some that have right on the label, opaque. So you know that that's opaque. That's not the color that you want. You want one that's translucent or transparent to tint that value that you already have established. That's all you need. And done, with a little extra color. So instead of black and white, now you've got a little extra color.
Well, honestly, we're discussing in the chat room. Maxim D said, Zenithal priming, wash, dry brush, better than nothing. And I countered with base coats, better than nothing.
Either way, yeah. I mean, you've got some color or you've got some value.
Paint, yeah.
Exactly.
Like, even just primed and a quick dry brush to bring out the highlights, that actually looks fine on a tabletop. You're like, oh, I see what that is. That's fine.
Yeah.
People like to go further, but, it's... And this is a big thing in the hobby, and I've noticed in certain tournaments and formats, is people like to push people to go beyond what they want. And that's sort of the point of the hobby, to get a little far afield, is that it's what you want from your hobby, not what we want your hobby to be. But that's sort of the point of hobby streaking, is just to get your hobby on, however you do it. One guy asked, can I list build for that? I'm like, well, let's say hobbying, it's similar. I mean, go with it. Just say you built lists today, It's no one's going to judge you on, that wasn't really hobbying. If you spend a good half an hour building lists because that's your thing, that's part of the hobby. I don't see why you can't be included.
Is demoing Legion part of my hobby streak?
Maybe. I mean, playing's different, and I know they're trying to keep it there, but, it's on you. It's what you want to count your time as. You spent time in the hobby doing stuff. Does that count? It's up to you. This isn't like the great hobby streak council is going to come down upon you like, that's not really a hobby streak. No. What do you think is a hobby streak? Did you keep doing the hobby?
That is so true, John.
It's what matters. I mean, did you literally spend half an hour demoing a new game or playing a game with new people? That's part of the hobby. People like to think of the hobby as just the modeling, building, and painting portions, but the hobby is everything from putting stuff together to playing.
About the hobby is part of the hobby. Like what we're doing right now is part of the hobby.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, hobby streak is a personal thing. It's what you want to consider it. If your hobby streak is playing games, you want to spend at least half an hour playing games. Maybe it's because you're just playing some games with your kid in the miniature games. That's fine. Add everything to it. Catalog it. That'll motivate other people to do stuff as well. Because that's the idea, is we all motivate each other, because I see other people hobby streaking. Because before I post my next one, I go on Twitter and I just type in hashtag hobby streak in the search, and I see what people are doing. And then I go and post mine.
Yep.
So
I get a lot of inspiration from seeing other people's work. And it doesn't matter, whether you're a master or whether you're painting a tabletop thing. Like, if you have a really cool color scheme, like there was this one guy who posted on Tabletop Minions today. He had a fantastic Nurgle character, and he had him in this sort of pink color scheme. It was amazing. It was just fabulous color scheme. It was original, and he was just asking, what could I do to make it better? And everybody's everybody's, providing their own comments for,
Mm-hmm.
how they like to see stuff. More contrast, less contrast. I don't know if I like pink, I like green. Is Nurgle supposed to be like this? I don't know. I really enjoyed seeing it. I thought it was really a nice concept. And sometimes that's all it boils down to is the concept, whether it's well executed or not. I can really appreciate that kind of work and that kind of creativity.
So if I'm having trouble hobbying, and when I'm talking about hobby is I really need to get my stuff painted, and because I'm going to competitions and doing it, how do I get myself and push myself through units? Because right now I have to paint a lot of models for my heretic list. I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, probably about 35 plus models.
Do you airbrush at all?
No, I've never used an airbrush. I don't even own an airbrush.
That was me and Jim up until last year, I want to say, when we got one of the Badger airbrushes. We got the Patriot something. And so all of the priming is done with the airbrush, and it makes things so much faster. Like prime it black, zenithal highlighting, done. Like these Necromunda things, it was prime it black, zenithal rust colored highlighting, and then I just went by hand and did a dry brush of the lighter color. So you can still, just because you're using an airbrush for priming or zenithal priming or whatever doesn't mean you can't go in with your brushes afterwards and start moving stuff around that way. But if you're doing big amounts of guys, I recommend maybe learning how to use the airbrush, because oh my god, did it ever speed things up. Or else just using some rattle can kind of primer and then a lighter rattle can primer to do your zenithal highlighting, that also helps speed things up.
Well, see, for me, I prime everything black, and my Grimkin, I don't zenithal primer any of them at all. I just prime it black and then get started on it. But there's just so many models. I look at it and I'm like, holy crap, this is just a lot to do at one time.
Grab like a gray primer or a white primer and just try in a can, and just try zenithal highlighting on a unit and see how that works for you. Because I feel like that will really speed up your underpainting, your value sketch that you're doing.
See, I don't even do any, like I said, when I do sketch, it's not even a sketch. It's, I take it, prime it black, and then I put a overall gray coat of whatever my gray that I'm using. And after I let all that dry, then I just take this big old tank brush I have and just start dry brushing everything. And that's pretty much all I do. But I've got like I said, it's probably about 40 to 50 models that I need to paint and trying to get through large projects.
I've heard your problem right there. You said it's a lot to do all at once. You don't do it all at once. You do it in chunks. You go like, all right, I'm going to paint this unit or this half a unit while I listen to a podcast, watch a movie that I don't have to pay attention to, something like that. Figure out how long you have to get it done. Break it down like, sometimes you have to break it down like, I have to get X models done a week.
Even if it's just 5 guys.
Yeah.
It adds up.
If it's just a half an hour, like I'm going to do a couple things real quick, half an hour while I watch this stupid comedy on TV. I don't need to watch it because they're talking about stupid shit. Just boom, get some stuff done, put it aside, you're done, go on, then come back the next night.
Yep, and all of a sudden, by the end of the month, you're like, holy shit, did I just paint 20 guys? Did I just get them to this stage?
So what do y'all do when you're actually painting?
I listen to podcasts because I can't watch anything because I will stop and start watching the thing.
That's how I am. I can't watch stuff. I can't have stuff, TV or movies on in the background, unless it's something that I've seen a million times.
Well, yeah, I can put on like the Avengers or the Replacements or any of the Star Wars movies. But even then, I might look up from time to time. I lose a little bit of time. Really, I just suggest just podcasts. Find something you like, or music. Go like, all right, this is a cool playlist of music. It's about a half an hour long, an hour long. Boom, go.
Podcasts, music, audiobooks.
Audiobooks, yeah.
Yep. If I've got a few hours where I can paint, and since I paint all the time, that's what I'm doing. I've got a few hours. I'm going to listen to an audiobook. I'm going to listen to a documentary, or I'm going to have Christmas music on, like I had today. Earth, Wind, and Fire's funk Christmas music.
Christmas.
I remember that. That was pretty good.
Funk Christmas, yes. But yeah, I mean, multiple people have said that they listen to us or something similar to us while they paint, which is, I mean, we're an hour and a half of paint time if you guys can do it. You don't necessarily have to look at us. In fact, in some cases, it's better not to look at us.
So much better just listening and not doing.
Just find something. Maybe you listen. Just find something you want to listen to, like, or if you can, like Gonzo, you said you can have movies in the background. Do that. I mean, good lord.
Yeah,
there's a ton of movies that are dialogue centric that you don't necessarily have to look at. I'll talk about one of those later today. And you can put those on in the background.
Nice teaser, John.
Hey, you're welcome. I'm professional here.
What about these hobby hangouts I've been seeing people doing? Because I'm actually part of the Facebook group, and they're using Google. I guess it's Google Hangout that's doing it. How often do people usually get on those?
I actually did my second ever hobby hangout last week, which was with Audrey Cole, and she is hosting one for Europeans, and it starts at, I think, 3 o'clock Central Standard Time, which is 6 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, and she's in Italy. So she's doing it for Europeans, but that just happens to be a time of day when I am painting.
Mm-hmm.
So I joined up with that one, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was her first time hosting a hangout for the Facebook group Hobby Hangout. And so it was just her and me and this one guy from the UK. So, and we talked a little bit about Doctor Who, and we painted a little bit. I was only on for like an hour and a half, but it's great for, to talk about what you're painting, the colors you're using, the kind of paint you're using, get suggestions from other people. If you're hung up on some part of what you're painting and you kind of want some tips, you can kind of ask other people. And it's nice to get that immediate feedback.
I find they do it every couple days, but the whole point is they have the open Hangout channels. Just jump in there and let people know, like, oh, hey, I'm hobbying and I'm in Hangout number 1. People might come in and jump in Hangout number 1 and talk with you.
Yep.
I generally jump on there because it's usually Robert Dresky, a.k.a. Flight Medic, jumping in there.
Yeah.
He's my boy, and it just happens to be at times when I've got some time, so jump in there, hang out, talk about whatever, and just do some hobbying. I mean, it's... Yeah. If you put it up there that you're in there, people will come if they're hobbying. You'll get, from what I understand, you usually get 1 or 2 hits every time.
Oh yeah, definitely. And Jim's been doing like the Monday night, the Wednesday night one that Caleb does, where he does his airbrush stuff. First, he's got a hangout where the CK airbrush does his stuff. And he does tutorials and stuff. And then after that, they do like a open hangout. And so Jim's been doing that on Wednesday nights. And he's really been enjoying that. And it's fun to be able to get feedback from other people. And then to, get tips from other people. Just do an exchange of ideas.
And just chat with random stuff with other people. We had a guy from Malaysia on talking about random stuff, Just sitting there, all of us hobbying, popping stuff in. It's just a good time. It's like, it reminds me as close as you can get to back at our old Drop Zone games, just sitting around the gaming table, all of us chatting and hobbying.
Yep, or like
that's the life.
Absolutely, that's what I miss about the
The bunker.
The Games Workshop bunker was the hobby bar, and we would all sit around and talk about, rules for 40K or rules for fantasy, and we would be painting and exchanging ideas and showing other people what we're doing, and they would come up and say, hey, I see that you're doing this. How do you do that? And you can sit there and show them how you're doing this. It's the whole reason that we started the Fort Wapple at Adepticon. So people could just hang out and sit together and paint and talk about what they're doing and exchange ideas.
Yep, we had the same thing at the Glen Burnie bunker. It started off, we had this, in this one nook, we had this giant conference table that people just sit around and chat and hobby at. When they finally got the hobby bar and they got rid of that table, it was sitting out there in the garbage, and I walked by and I gave that a good salute because that table had some good memories.
Yep. I have not found a place like the Battle Bunkers hobby bar. Not since then.
If I won the lottery, I'd make a store, and that would definitely, cheers. That would definitely be a focus, because if you can get that community, it is super awesome. It is the best hobby experience.
Well, I mean, Kathy, you paint you paint for a living. That's your job.
Yep.
How do you handle painting for yourself and painting for your job? How do you find time to paint for yourself?
I don't often get a chance to paint for myself. And if I should paint for myself, I oftentimes will end up selling it to somebody. So when people say, hey, why don't you enter things into a competition? I'm like, well, I don't have anything. I don't have anything because it doesn't stick around in my house long enough before I ship it out to somebody else. So I'm painting every day, and occasionally I get to paint something for me. I like to think the Necromunda things I'm painting are for me, but they're really for Adepticon, for their events, their demo games, and I think to myself, I really hope they'll just let me store them at my house in the off season until the next Adepticon, so that I can play with them. So that's me. I have a bunch of stuff that's like in various stages of being done, and I'm always working on it. But I find that I'm more inspired to paint. I'm more motivated to paint when I have other people to talk to about the painting. Jim, he's like a workhorse. He can paint all the time, no matter what. He's just like listening to sports radio, painting. That's it. He doesn't need inspiration or anything, but I like the motivation of the community, of talking to other people and sharing our ideas. Like, I'm doing this new technique that I discovered, and you're doing this new technique that you discovered, and we're going to steal them from each other and rework it and make a new technique. And to me, that's what the community is about, is sharing our stuff and making it new and different, and then sharing it again, and it's evolving. It's always evolving.
That's how all these techniques came about. People started thinking about, like, honestly, 15 years ago, non-metallic metal wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
But I'm sure some guys got together, started thinking about it, and then look where it is now. It is one of the things.
Oh, I remember the first time I saw OSL. It was a Golden Demon Award, and I was like, holy fuck balls, what is this? And it was like, it was amazing, and I was like, there's no way. How did this person do this? And now, a lot of people do it. But I mean,
it's like, it's common practice.
Yeah. I mean, it was
and I
just
remember
crazy.
that too. It was Cool Mini or Not was a big forum for that back when I started painting. And so Victoria of Victoria Miniatures had this sort of dragon, and then this space marine who was shooting it, and the dragon's breath was hitting the space marine, and he was floating, in midair because the breath of the dragon was so powerful, and there was all this object source lighting, and it was incredible. And that's the first thing I remember about being conscious of object source lighting. And for non-metallic metal, it was, for me, the catalog for Confrontation miniatures. The Confrontation game from Rackham, which is no longer around anymore. They don't exist anymore. But their miniatures are around still.
Confrontation is coming back, though.
Fantastic miniatures, and they had some fantastic painters that were really doing them justice.
Balls.
And I absolutely loved that style of painting. And that, as a beginning painter back in 2002, was the thing that I was aspiring to.
Since we're talking about that, I'm going to throw a question in here from Facebook from Sam Gardner Jr. He wants to know, how important is knowing color theory in the miniature figure painting hobby?
So, I took a year of art school once upon a time, and I took a color theory class. And I learned a lot, and it was very technical, and it was very dry. And I'm not certain that I consciously use it in my painting.
I think you unconsciously use it, though, and I think most people who paint unconsciously use it because the whole color theory is, unless I'm wrong by the technical definition, is using colors that complement each other, or using ones that contrast each other in the right spots to get that to work together. And I think that's the difference between people looking at the model like there's something off about that model, and looking at the model going, that model is cool, because those, one person might have not done something right, another person might have done something just right.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as contrasts go, you can have your obvious contrast, which is between light and dark, which is your value contrast. And you can have your contrast between cool and warm, which is your temperature contrast. You've got like a blue or something that's more blue tinted, like a purple blue, which is going to be cool. And then you've got like a red purple, which is going to be more orange.
Yeah, sort of like the Imperial versus magenta.
Yeah. And so that's a contrast. So you can start out with a red that has a very warm highlight, which is a yellow, orangey red, a peachy color. And then the shadow of it is going to be a bluish purple, maybe. A nice cool color. So your shadow being cool and your highlight being warm, that's another contrast. You've got dark and you've got light, and now you've got warm and you've got cool.
And I know a lot of painters swear by their color wheel because it does help you with getting those contrasts and the warm and cool and the opposite colors and all. It visualizes it for you. Sometimes you need that before you put it on a model.
And not only that, now you have a third contrast. So your third contrast is between saturated and non-saturated.
And desaturated, yeah.
So you've got your really bright colors.
Or comic book and pastel colors,
really
as I call
red,
them.
really magenta, really blue. And then you've got your desaturated colors, which have a little bit of gray in them. Or they're muted. So your red has a little bit of green. It's going to mute it down. And that's where your complementary colors, that's where your color theory comes in handy. You've got some bright red. You put a tiny little bit of green in it. It's going to mute it. It's going to make it less bright. You've got some vivid purple. You throw a little brown, a little yellow in it. That's going to mute it down a little. Or if you've got a bright yellow, a neon yellow, and you throw a tiny bit of purple in it, that's going to mute that down. It's not going to be as bright. So that's your third contrast. It's better than adding
straight black a lot of times. So.
Oh, absolutely. I never use straight black. Almost never.
So there you go. Never. Color theory is important. It's kind of next level in a lot of cases because honestly, you can just mix black with a color to mute it down. You're not doing it the best way, but it is still a way to do it. But I mean, luckily in the internet age, you can just jump on or buy any basic miniature painting book, and they'll have tons of stuff on it. Or there's tons of articles online for it. You can find stuff, but it is somewhat important.
Well, and mixing black with your color isn't totally out of line. Because as we talked about, the saturated color versus desaturated also works for your darkest shadows. So if you're mixing black with your color, you're desaturating it.
Mm-hmm.
And then your highlight, maybe you want to add something that is much more vivid and more saturated for your highlight. And you look at it that way, now you've got a couple different contrasts going. It's going to make it a little bit more interesting.
Yep. And don't hesitate to play around with it, because that's the whole point of it.
That's how you learn.
Yep, that's how we got where we are today in miniature painting. People started playing around with stuff.
See, I'm more of a guy that's like, oh, I need this darker. Here's a little bit of black. I need a little bit lighter. Here's a little bit of white.
I mean, it'll work.
You know what?
It's not necessarily exactly what you want.
We'll get you using colors eventually.
I actually bought a color wheel back a while back. I just never used it, and I just haven't had time. And that's the reason why I painted up that Colby. Was I tried to do something and try to just push myself a little bit. And that's the reason why I also bought, I spent a crap ton of money on good paint brushes and some stuff to help me out and get back on it and try to paint something up and make it look good. And that's what I'm going to do with those Marshalls from Malifaux.
Death Marshals?
Death Marshals. I'm actually going to put effort into it.
So these are the 5 paints I use the most. Magenta, yellow, red, green, blue. Those are the Reaper Clear paints. They are really bright pigments. They're incredibly transparent, but if you build on them, they become very opaque. And I've been mixing them together. You can get those vivid colors. All those Necromunda guys that I did, well, the 2 that I finished, was all the color was added with those Reaper Clear paints only. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you go to our Facebook page and look at my Necromunda album, you will see what I'm talking about. Those 2 guys, it was all just the Reaper Clear paints. They're just incredibly vivid, and they're very translucent. So if you're doing, like, Gonzo's black and white style, in monotones, and you just add a little tint of red to a few areas, or you add a little tint of green to a few areas, or you mix a little red and green and you make sort of a dark red, you can still see that your value shade underneath it. So you've got that dark and you've got that light still, but now you've got some color.
There's a good one. Maximum DT had brought up something. Eyeballs. Oh man, that is like the worst thing for me to do. I have tried every technique, paint the entire thing white, then put a little black dot, paint everything black, put a little bit aside, turn the model upside down so the eyes don't look messed up, and paint them like that. I have tried everything, and I cannot get eyeballs worth a damn. I usually just, you're just a straight white eye. That's it.
I choose life.
They're hard. They're hard. I will agree with you, DT. They are difficult. And they remain difficult no matter how much experience you have. What I do personally is I take the whole eyeball area and I make it really dark. And then I go in with a fine point brush. Any brush that I have that actually comes to an actual point or part of a point, or it hooks to the side into a point. The people who use synthetic brushes know what I'm talking about, where it hooks into a point. And I take that point and I make a dot in the center corner of the eye, and then I make a dot in the outer corner of the eye of white. And I just hope for the best. That's it. And
worst case, they look like me.
Yeah. If it doesn't work, I paint over it and do it again.
What's funny is I was actually talking to a friend of mine, one of our local guys, Dion, and he's a really good painter, and he does something that I didn't even think about, but he has 2 water cups for cleaning his brushes in between paints, and so he uses one, then he gets it off, and then he wipes it off, and then he goes to another one to get even more off on it. And I asked him why he does that, and he says, to get more paint off the brush, it doesn't contrast it. But he said it's more of a ritual to him. So I'm curious, what rituals do y'all have?
I mean, I use 2 water cups, but one for regular and one for metallic, because you don't get the metallic flakes and everything.
That is my paint water. And then I have a tiny cap of water that I refill every time I paint. It's like a bottle cap, essentially, full of water that is on my palette, right next to my paints that I'm working with. So I can take my brush and moisten it and water down a little bit of my paint, so that I can get it a little thinner. I don't need to do it as much now that I have a wet palette, but it's still helpful. But I always am dipping that one and rinsing it just a little bit. If I have a lot of paint on my brush, I go to my big cup and rinse it off. If it's just a little bit, I take my little bottle cap full of water and I just give it a cursory rinse. But I figure if I've got a little bit of pigment in my brush from the color that's next to the color I'm working with on the model, it doesn't matter because those 2 colors that are side by side are kind of reflecting off each other anyways. Like if you look at somebody in reality, like my red sweatshirt, it's reflecting off my face. So there's going to be a little red in my face right next to where my sweatshirt is anyways. So what do I care? I'm not as careful as some people.
So, like for me, when I'm painting, I have to have some background noise, and so we've got that covered. But keeping myself on task is my biggest issue. I mean, of course, I'm an ADHD to begin with. I have a lot of problems trying to keep concentrating. What can I do? 1, to make sure I get my hobby streak above 1 and stay above 1, because that's going to be my problem. If I get to 5, I'm going to be surprised. And also getting and staying on it for 30 minutes. And keep my mind on it and stay on it for 30 minutes. Not do, hey, here's 5 minutes, squirrel. Hey, here's 3 minutes, squirrel. What can I do to help?
That's why I listen to a podcast or something that has a set duration. So I know while this is on, I should be hobbying. When I'm done, I should be looking at other stuff. Like tonight, you guys were having this whole conversation about Star Wars Legion, and I'm just like, yep, minimize that. I'm over here hobbying. When the podcast is done, I'll take a look then. It really helps because it focuses you. Your mind's like, while this is on, I'm paying attention, and I'm hobbying. This is what I do.
That's a very good way to do it, John. I do the same thing with audiobooks where I know I have a certain stretch of time where I can get into the audiobook while I'm painting. But if I only have a half an hour, I'm probably going to either paint bases, which are pretty easy, or I'm going to prep models, like filing mold lines or cutting things off sprues or something, or maybe doing some priming.
Well, with a half an hour, I mean, if Gonzo's painting a unit, he can do, assuming a normal paint job on a unit, not the different style he's doing, more general idea, you can do one color on an entire unit in about a half an hour. And keep in mind, the hobby streak is not about just a half an hour. Like I said, I haven't done just a half an hour, maybe once in all of my 6 hobby streaks now. It's generally longer than that. It's about at least that much to keep you motivated. Just go like, all right, I'm going to grab these guys, I'm going to paint all the leather colors on them, all their boots and all their belts and all their other stuff, and do the touch-ups necessary, and that's what I'm going to do tonight. Then you go, cool, I'm done. Then you wander off to other stuff.
You know what? That's exactly the way I approached my Necromunda stuff. I did all the priming stuff first, and then I went in with the metallics, and I did metallic on all 10 of my guys, and then I was done with the metallics, and I knew it. And I breathed a sigh of relief. And then later, I tackled the black. So the pants and the straps were black. And I knew that's how I wanted to do it. And that's all I focused on. So, I had the color that I wanted on my palette. I went and, painted as much as I could. since it's a wet palette, my paint remained there until the next day. So I was able to pick up where I left off the day before.
Yeah, if you're painting on a day-to-day basis, wet palette is super legit and totally awesome. I have a wet palette, and I'm not much of a painter.
I usually use spit.
I bet money it's dry. All right, now.
It's incredibly helpful. My husband, he doesn't use a wet palette. I don't know,
It's not for everyone. I've got a friend who paints and doesn't prime. It seems stupid. It works for him, so I mean, if it works for you, if it ain't broke, don't break it.
Right, exactly. There's not a wrong way to approach the hobby.
Does paint get on the model? Sounds good to me.
Yes. Yes.
That's a good thing. Okay, with that said, so, John, you're up to what hobby streak right now?
I'm about to post day 6 when we get done tonight, and I eat some dinner because I would like to eat dinner before that.
Okay. Kathy, you're going to be at what?
I'm going to be at day 5.
I'm still at day 0.
Assuming I paint tonight when we're done with this.
I'm sure you will. I have faith.
I might be able to start tomorrow. Just depends. If not, I will definitely start Tuesday. But I do have my holiday break coming up Friday after that. This coming Friday, and I'll definitely try to get some stuff done. I'm going to try to paint a lot. I definitely want to get my Grimkin painted up and finished.
If you're on break and you're gonna paint in the middle of the day, then hit me up. We can do a Skype.
Yeah, Skype painting.
We will have to.
Because that's when I'm painting is the middle of the day. I'm a morning person, so I'm painting in the morning or I'm painting in the afternoon, but not in the evening usually.
I see a potential Twitch streaming Kathy and Gonzo paint, and Kathy teaches Gonzo how not to fuck up his models.
That'll just be part of our holiday thing because we're not podcasting on those 2 Sundays, so that's like the bonus.
Bonus episodes.
Yeah.
I have Skype at work. I just wish I could get away with doing that while I was working.
That would be so much fun.
I mean, even if I have to stop and do work stuff, but they would frown upon that.
I could just see that you accidentally have your headphones away from your ear one time, and I'm like, well, fuck balls, and then all of a sudden,
Gonzo, that wouldn't even. No one would bat an eyelash at that at work.
That's
no one.
Good, because I would get in so much trouble with that.
Let's put it this way. The only reason my boss doesn't listen to this podcast is because he's not a miniature painter. He would get a hoot out of this. My boss is a cool dude.
All right, so I will try to start Tuesday. How about Tuesday? Because Monday is my play day, and I'm not going to consider that. I want to do the hobby, and not, like I said, we all say a different type of hobby, but I want to do the hobby as my painting, modeling, stuff like that, hands-on, not building a list and painting and playing lists, because I can do that all the time. I need to get motivated to paint my army and get it done because 1, Adepticon's coming up. 2, I actually want to paint a few other things for Adepticon besides my Grimkin to take with me.
So what are you painting for Adepticon? What's your goal?
I need to finish my Grimkin. 1, I need to finish at least the list that I'm working on. Which
and how many models is that?
That's probably about 50 plus.
50? Holy shit!
Yeah. And then I've got a few models I think I want to take because I'm definitely going to be playing in the Company of Iron event one day. And I'm not sure if I'm going to take Grimkin or Kador. I'm kind of iffy on that right now. So.
Grimkin. Hello.
Well.
Much cooler.
Yeah, but Maximum DT and all my other Kador brothers were talking about AKs. Assault Commandos in Company of Iron, and they're really good in Company of Iron.
They're just a bunch of commies.
Yeah, they are. They're damn good commies. So it just all depends. I'm still deciding on what I want to take. But I also have the Batman miniatures, which I did pick up, and I did paint up Bane. And I'm not sure if I want to take them, because I might want to play one of the Batman events on, like, Friday.
Okay. I know the guy doing the Batman stuff said that at least one of his events is sold out, so you may want to check on that.
Yeah. Well, one of them, they're not even doing the stuff for it because we don't even know the rules yet because they're using a special rule set whenever it comes to that one.
So, Gonzo, how many models do you have? About 50 models?
Yeah.
You got 98 days between Tuesday and Tuesday, March 20th before that. Come on, you got this.
Now, you know what?
That's like half a model a day.
I know. I should be able to get it done. I'm just very lazy when it comes to painting.
You're talking to the guy who hasn't painted anything in like 9 months.
Well,
hey, but you built some stuff.
Yep.
You
I built
know,
the hell out of some stuff. Holy moly, I
built
built
some stuff. Yeah.
DT, I do not have.
That's how you play games.
I do not have. Sorry, I was saying DT's. I do not have Baden handy with me. There is a picture of him on our Facebook page. I did show him fully painted up.
And I do want to paint this guy because he's already primed, so it's easy to get started. I just need to set up my paint area up here.
Yeah.
Like a chainsaw arm, because that's
Wait,
awesome.
Wait, somebody asked me what's a good painting soundtrack. I'm not the person to ask because I like to listen to jazz most of the time, and most people don't care for that. So
I like the I like the soundtrack to the game Bulletstorm.
What is that?
Oh my god, that brings back some memories.
The soundtrack. So I don't know why, but they release a soundtrack for free. I actually follow some soundtrack. It's like Soundtrack Geek. It's a blog, and you pay attention to what they do occasionally. And for some reason, they had the whole soundtrack for free, and I downloaded it. It is awesome. There's a couple really, really good songs in there too.
Oh yeah.
Well, is it like different bands or is it all the same artist?
It's all very rock and very, very heavy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very heavy rock. But yeah, find some music you like. I'll listen to, like I said, I'll listen to podcasts. If I don't, I'm listening to either music on YouTube or music off my hard drive. Just find some music you like. I mean,
I personally, I'm like jazz most of the time. In the Christmas season, I like to listen to Christmas music, but otherwise, I like that whole, eating corpses, Dimmu Borgir. I like the Finnish death
some
metal.
TSO. You can do some TSO. TSO is great background music.
Finnish death metal. I'm just saying.
I love any death metal that's not U.S. I don't want any chance of understanding the lyrics. The less chance of me understanding the lyrics, the better it is, because I'm not trying anymore. It's just background death metal.
It was all like, eating burnt corpses, and oh my god, it speaks to me. I've
actually listened to Japanese death metal. It's like I said, I don't understand any lyrics, but that's not really much different.
Anyway,
Game Grumps are very amusing. They do playthroughs of games and all.
Oh, hey, somebody else likes jazz. Well, thanks.
I don't dislike jazz. It's just not my first choice. I would go with ska first, but that's me.
Oh my god, I love ska.
Man.
Love me some ska. I like the Skatalites, which is funny because they're like ska and jazz fused together.
Yeah. I'm more a third wave ska guy. I'm more Real Big Fish, Streetlight Manifesto.
Mighty Boss Tones.
Oh, who doesn't like the Mighty Boss Tones? Come on.
Right? What is everybody saying here?
Love jazz, Game Grumps.
Oh, Oblivion?
Soundtrack to Oblivion?
I've never really listened to the soundtrack to Oblivion, and despite Tom Cruise starring in it, I enjoyed that movie.
I haven't seen it yet. It is on my short list of movies to see. I'm hoping it becomes free at some point, but I might just have to suck it up and pay for it.
I would be curious what you think, because I enjoyed it, and I am so not a Tom Cruise fan.
Look, shitty action movies it's my jam. So, I mean, if you get competent movie, I'm usually in heaven. Oh.
All right. With that said, let's go ahead and go to movies. We're going to go to media section. It's the last 30 minutes. Also, we want to thank Tectonic Dan Studios for doing this. He is our sponsor for the media section. What?
Thank you,
Thank you, Dan. Sponsoring my section. That's because you love me, right, Dan?
So he is the one that's going to be there. So John, go ahead with what you got.
Well, I'll go first. The movie I watched that I teased a little bit earlier, and it is Lord of War, starring Nicolas Cage. It's the whole premise is he is an arms dealer, and it is his story. And it's also a movie that is 50% narration, and I thought that'd be okay. but it's not.
Oh no!
People said it was a pretty good movie and all, so I had it on my list to watch. It's on Netflix for free still, so I'm not like upset. But it was not a great movie. It was vaguely interesting, but I did stop and check how much longer was left in the movie about 4 times. Just not a good sign. So God, it's kind of mediocre. I mean, Nicolas Cage delivers a Nicolas Cage performance. In fact, I would say probably all the rest of the actors are a better performance than him. But he's Nicolas Cage, so he's like, they didn't have a good Nicolas Cage performance is different than every other actor. He's held to different standards. But he was solid. I definitely didn't hate the movie, but just due to there wasn't a ton of action in it. I don't want to say it was boring, but it was just kind of uninteresting. God, I'm trying to say, like, Jared Leto's in it. He actually does a decent job as his brother. It's his whole story. The story is supposed to be kind of tragic, but as he doesn't feel bad about his life or what he's done or any of that. It kind of takes away from any emotion you'd get from his ending and all. You just don't care about him. The whole movie, I just didn't care about him. So, not great. Maybe 3 shots of Kraken. That being said, I would suggest you can see it. It's free on Amazon. You may like it a lot more than I did. But as an action movie guy first, that's not the thing. I don't like a good drama. It's not a good drama. As a drama, it's mediocre as crap. As an action movie, it's less than mediocre. So, take for what you will. Maybe give it I definitely would not tell you to not watch it. Especially for free. But it was not great.
So how many shots you going to give it?
Oh, 3. Definitely 3.
Definitely 3?
Yeah.
Kathy, did you watch anything this week?
I haven't had time.
Oh.
It's a very short segment for me. I have not had time for watching movies. I am, in fact, looking forward to Star Wars next Friday, the 11 o'clock p.m. showing, which, I'm all set up to attend. And so for our holiday episode, I will tell you what I think about that one.
Definitely.
I will also tell you because I'm seeing it at 7 p.m. on Friday, which is difficult when you get to work at 2:30 because you're like, what do I do for the evening time? The thought is in my head to see it and then see it again. We'll see what I decide.
Okay, Gonzo, what did you watch?
I actually didn't watch any movies. I watched a bunch of series. Yeah, I actually watched some series on Netflix. I completely finished Mindhunters, which I thoroughly enjoyed. But I
love that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super. If you like mind thrillers and you like serial killer stuff and a different take on the serial killer type thing, you will definitely like Mindhunters. And it got renewed, so I was really happy about that.
Oh, good. I hadn't heard that yet, so I'm interested in seeing what they do with the characters beyond the first season.
Yeah, it went through. I really, really liked it. I was very happy with it. Love the characters. There's stuff and you're watching it and you're just like, damn. You're like, yeah, they went there. And just stuff that they talk about. But I mean, it's interesting because it's loosely based off of real life events. It's not true real life, but it's loosely based off of some life events. Because it was interesting because they talk about, they don't call them serial killers right off the bat. Which is interesting.
They did not have the lexicon yet.
Correct.
This is like the sort of prehistory of the whole idea of FBI profiling of serial killers.
Correct.
And they're the whole first season. They're just coining phrases that you would see later in something like Criminal Minds or something.
Yep.
So I feel like it's like a prequel to Criminal Minds in my mind.
Yeah, pretty much. That's a good way to put it. But I mean, it's interesting because they don't concentrate on just one serial killer. It's a whole branch of them, a whole bunch of different ones, a whole bunch of different ways.
And they're just learning. They're just starting to hit the tip of the iceberg of, what these serial killers are all about and how to do the psychological profiles of them. I found that series riveting. I had to watch the whole thing within 2 days.
Oh yeah, it was so worth everything that was in there. I highly recommend it. If you like a Criminal Minds type episode, definitely watch that. And then I also watched Godless. Didn't get through all the episodes. I don't know if anybody's watching this. It's another Netflix. It's a limited series, and it's a Wild West, and it's about a town that has all their mining people are killed. All the men are killed, pretty much, and another mining company comes in to try to take over, and of course, it's all the politics behind that. And then it has a guy that was working for a group of bandit robbers or whatever that robbed something, and he's like run away from them, and they're trying to find him. It's a really, really good Western.
I've been hearing a lot of good buzz about that one. I have a bunch of friends who are telling me I need to watch it because I like Westerns.
Yes, it's really good. I really like everything that's going on with it. I like the way it's filmed. Definitely, you can tell that they're out and about. Not a lot of sets. Are
there a lot of horses?
Yes.
Excellent, because horses is what makes a Wild West movie.
There's actually
technically it's Indians.
It's horses.
Look, I'm just saying. I know somebody who who studied Western movies in college, and he's like, "That's not a Western because there's no Indians." And I'm like, "Whatever, dude."
Bullshit,
there are Indians in here.
There's horses. There's horses.
It's a Western.
Fucking Silverado. Silverado.
Look, you're talking about my favorite Western ever, so.
I love it. I'm telling
you. It's awesome. It's great.
But, I mean, it's really good. If you like Westerns, definitely go watch it. It kind of breaks some of the stereotypes of Westerns that you don't normally see. Like sexuality is breached in this one. It is an adult theme one, so there's definitely some adult themes in it. There's definitely a lot of violence, which, hey, don't have a problem with. There's definitely quite a bit in there. It's got a lot of good characters. It's got a lot of good moments. I really, really like it. There's some good lines in there, too. The deputy is amazing. He's my favorite character. Was it Jeff Daniels' character? Is a fucking ass. I mean, bad. His character is mean, evil, and rotten. And
like
you're just
badass or an
both,
ass?
Both.
Fair enough.
It is. You're just like, this guy's a dick, and he could kill you from a million miles away, type thing.
Oh shit.
He's pretty good. So I haven't got through it yet. It's only a limited series, so I'm not sure. I guess it's only gonna be one season, I'm guessing. So I'm kind of looking forward to the rest of it. I'm definitely gonna be binge watching that once I get time.
It is on my watch list, and I will let you know what I think about that.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm looking forward to it.
Speaking of TV shows, I started watching an older TV show that just showed up on Amazon Prime.
And that is?
Andromeda.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, I love that show.
I never watched it when it came out. I was busy doing other things. I think I was running a game store at that point, so my free time was like not much. So I figured I've been waiting for it to show up. Like, it's on YouTube, but the quality's hit or miss.
Mm-hmm.
But finally, it's on Amazon Prime. I'm like, hell's yeah, I'm watching this. So I watched.
Oh my god, it's on
first
Amazon
two episodes.
Prime.
Oh yeah, first two episodes, which is technically, I think, the entire pilot. 2 episodes worth, and I mean, it was pretty good. Like, if you factor in when it came out, because it's kind of old.
Yeah.
So it used to air on Saturday afternoons, and Jim and I used to watch it, and the two of us loved that show. Of course, we liked Hercules and Xena as well, so there's really no accounting for taste, but oh my god, we both loved Andromeda. I could just I can't believe it's on Amazon Prime because now I have to go rewatch everything.
Yeah, and for a first series that came out 2000, 2005, it's quite good. I mean, anything I could nitpick about it is the same thing that happens in any series from that side. Yes, the fight choreography is not that great. It's not a Hong Kong action movie, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
The science fiction is solid. It's interesting. I can tell it's a Gene Roddenberry idea because this is what happens if the Federation collapses because they've been betrayed by somebody, and then people have to come back and remake it, basically. Now, I'm only 2 episodes in, so they haven't started remaking. The first 2 episodes were damn enjoyable. Some of it reminds me a little bit of Farscape, a little quirky at points. Not quite as quirky by any stretch, but a little quirky. I love Kevin Sorbo. Kevin Sorbo was a great Hercules, I'll be honest. I love the hell out of those TV movies and TV series. And I'm looking forward to watching the rest of it. I'm gonna keep going for as long as it'll hold my interest. I actually think it's better to watch this than to rewatch old NCIS episodes. Not that I wasn't enjoying them, but I get something brand new, and it really gets that sci-fi itch I have inside me.
So I am so happy that you just told me that they have that on Amazon Prime. I can't even say.
Hey, I spoiled it on the last episode of. Oh yeah.
We finished all of the 19 series of the British show Midsummer Murders recently.
Oh wow!
So now we have something else to watch besides Allo Allo, which is another British sitcom from the 1980s.
Yeah, and it's funny how I found it. I was going through looking for something to watch next week for minis and movies, and I saw that on the front page of Amazon Video. I'm like, I have Andromeda's on here. Well, hell yeah, I know what I'm watching next. Because I mean, I've been jonesing for some. This sounds weird, for some good sci-fi TV series.
Yes. Which we're gonna have to wait for that.
We could talk about this on another episode, how much we love Andromeda, because I'm going to be rewatching the whole thing now.
Yeah, is that... yeah, so I'm going to keep rewatching it when I can. It's doubly good because it's Amazon Prime, so I can watch it on my computer. Don't have to watch it on the TV, which is sort of the point of contention. Because I'm a nice guy, and if the roomie is watching TV, I try not to kick her off my TV to watch TV. Nice guy, So, but first episode, it was interesting. It had very cool science fiction beats. The characters were at least grabbed me from the beginning. You could tell like that guy's the bad guy. You can see where things were going. Granted, not having the credits show before it would have been better, so you had more mystique about it. But I don't think they were trying for that at all. I gave it a solid 1.5 shots of Kraken. It was good, especially if you factor in when it came from. I'm not expecting, earth-shattering special effects and the best fight choreography ever to hit TV waves. Because let's be honest. Oh, and Hinton B says only season 1's on Prime right now. Well, you know what? I'll watch season 1 and then we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll season 2 out. Maybe that'll be enough to sate my science fiction needs, or maybe I'll just go watch Farscape again.
Oh, both.
Or Firefly.
Or all three. Because they're all good.
So, does anybody else watch anything else?
I was actually thinking in Firefly. Not that I haven't talked about on minis and movies. Well, that's not true, actually. So, I kind of made a decision that when I'm downstairs with the TV, I'm going to start picking up Arrow from where I left off and then watch The Flash. And maybe if I get time, Supergirl also. Because I'm watching some clips on YouTube, and it seems like after that midpoint of season 2 of the Arrow, they take it back up out of CW land into vaguely normal land.
Mm-hmm.
And The Flash just looks like it's so upbeat. And Supergirl looks like she's so toxically cute and everything is so upbeat. I think I want to watch those. Get some superhero on when I'm not watching Marvel movies. So that's my plan, at least. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, I've been watching a ton of clips on YouTube and been, at least very impressed with what I've seen.
I tried to get into a lot of the CW stuff. Oh, Kathy's fading in out. I tried.
Yeah.
I tried to get into Supergirl, and I watched it when it was on one of the major channels, and just couldn't get into it. I tried to watch Arrow, and I watched part of the first season, and was like, couldn't get into it. And I tried to watch some of Flash, couldn't get into it. And what was the other? The superhero team,
Legends of Tomorrow,
and I just couldn't get into it. There was something about it. It was like, no.
So Arrow grabbed me the first season. So fair point. Green Arrow is basically Batman with an arrow, with
Correct.
a bow and arrow, and this really hits that up. And the first season was pretty solid. I enjoyed the crap out of the first season. The second season, early in, it got a little too CW-y for me, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
And it still has some of those things apparently, but apparently it scales back later. The scene of the Flash is full-on comic book awesome, and Supergirl looks also like full-on comic book awesome. She's so quirky and all. It seems cool, so I'll give it a shot. I've watched some scenes from the Flash and Supergirl team up, and that looks awesome. That it's just a team up between superheroes that is not and they're not fighting. They're just like instantly friends, and it's awesome. And Maxim DC says Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, I haven't finished season 3 yet. Season 2, the one where they had I'm almost done with one of the seasons. I haven't gone to the next season. I'm about a season behind. I haven't seen Ghost Rider or anyone like that yet. Because I sort of gave up on it because it wasn't bad, but it felt like they went too far into superhuman minus level when they should have focused on the agent level.
Yeah,
and
that's going on right now with the new season. It's gone really far off the deep end, in my opinion. And I'm like, you could have just given us.
It seems like when they went for Inhumans, that was the point where I'm like, you're pretty far afield from where you started. Maybe you should scoot on back.
Yeah.
And then here they haven't scooted on back, so I'm not really on about it. But and then Legends of Tomorrow, I watched the entire first season. It was pure comic book goodness. It was so comic book. Sometimes it hurt. I started watching season 2, and it was extra comic book, and it actually hurt. So I don't mind comedy, but when the comedy is so awkward comedy, you're like, oh god, I gotta change the channel. And you're watching on Netflix. And I've been warned by Norin that it doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any worse. So we'll see. But I'm definitely going to try and give the rest of Arrow Season 2 a shot. And then when they start incorporating the Flash in, try and get the Flash. And see if maybe I can get some enjoyment out of that. Because I don't read comic books anymore. Just because, it's super expensive to give out comic books. And maybe this will get that fix. But I think we have one more subject we want to talk about. Is that correct? Do we want to go here?
I don't know, but I hear Gonzo typing away, so clearly he has something in mind.
No, I'm taking notes.
Taking notes. Uh-oh.
Yep. No, what was the other subject we want to talk about? Of course, nothing's happening this weekend, so that's not what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, we're not talking about the new Star Wars movie coming out on Friday.
Nope. We're not talking about that. That's just that's just way in the background.
Are we going to talk about Star Trek?
Okay, all right. We've been holding this back because they announced that Quentin Tarantino is going to make a new Star Trek movie.
Quentin Tarantino is directing a new Star Trek movie in theory,
and that's
the rumor.
And he wants it as rated R. Now.
Yep.
This is my response.
Where does everybody fall on this scale? All of you in the chat, let us know. John will tell us exactly what he thinks.
Go for it, John.
Fuck.
I personally I'm a fan of Tarantino, and I'm a fan of Star Trek. I'm a fan of the original series. I cut my teeth on the original series, literally. So I'm interested in seeing what he does with it, with Gene Roddenberry's vision of Star Trek.
See, that's the thing. That's it. Let me get my preamble out of the way. I like Quentin Tarantino movies for the most part. Of his catalog, I like all but one movie I've seen. We went over this earlier. I don't like Inglourious Bastards, but whatever. Some people do. I don't think it was a badly made movie. I just didn't like it. The problem with Quentin Tarantino is that he is not going to do anything with Gene Roddenberry vision. He's doing his shit in space. It's not going to be true to Gene Roddenberry's vision. It's not going to be Star Trek. It's going to be Quentin Tarantino makes some fucking space movie. It's going to be unfortunate.
Is it going to be like Kill Bill in space?
It's going to be something crazy. I mean,
blood,
that's the problem.
Blood.
Yeah, I don't feel like he can rein himself in enough to make a good Star Trek movie. Now, if you're telling me, oh, Quentin Tarantino is going to make a cool space movie, I'm fucking in. But
that's
I
valid.
don't want to make it with Star Trek because he's not going to do Star Trek justice. He is going to do his own fucking thing, and it's going to be Star Trek, and it's going to be fucking terrible because of it. It's not going to be anything. I mean, let's be honest. The new Star Trek stuff has gotten pretty far afield from Gene Roddenberry's vision.
And I was going to say, to be fair, no one is doing Star Trek like Gene Roddenberry's vision, and no one has done it, not since Next Gen.
Fair. Absolutely fair. The underlying theme of Deep Space Nine was true to his vision, even with the war, but Next Gen was the last one that was really true to his vision. And the real problem with Star Trek is that no one's doing anything in the future of Star Trek. It's, let's go to the past and introduce this fucking bullshit tech.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about you, Discovery. Spore drive! Look at this spore drive! No, fuck you. Fuck you. Make something in the future. Stop trying to go in the past and remake every fucking thing. Enterprise tried, it failed. There's a reason it failed.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because it was bad. It was because people didn't care about the past. They wanted it to go forward.
It mostly, they had so much potential with Enterprise. Mm. They could have showed how the Enterprise encountered all of the civilizations we were already familiar with, and that would have been interesting. Instead, they went with, let's just show these new races we've never heard of before. And why haven't we heard of them? Because Enterprise takes place in the past, so we should have heard of them. And then the Time War! Yay! Time Lord... Not Time Lords, I'm sorry. But Time Travelers and the Time War. Lame. Super lame.
Yeah.
They had some fantastic characters that I really liked. And their Mirror Universe episode was really on point, but that's the only one out of the entire series.
I've seen those. I also enjoyed the Borg episode because it was done well.
Yeah.
It kept internal consistency, but it's just... I'm not hopeful. Having seen some clips from Discovery, I have no actual desire to watch it anymore because I was willing to give it a pass because it's a little darker. But it's darker, and it has a stupid tech that's never referenced again. It's like, no, you know what? I don't want to watch this because I'm probably not going to enjoy it. I'm just going to avoid it, and then if someone happened to see it for free, cool. Maybe I enjoy it, maybe I don't. I ain't paying money for it.
This is why I haven't seen Discovery yet, so I don't really have anything to say about it yet.
See, I love Discovery.
But you like darker things. That's why I think you don't like some of the CW stuff for superheroes, because it's not always darker, especially the Flash and Supergirl, because those are way the opposite spectrum of what I think you want.
Yeah.
And Arrow, I think, was CW for you.
What do you like about it, Gonzo?
I do like that it's a more mature setting. I do like that all the characters aren't your typical characters in a Star Trek show. It's not this, hey, we're going out to rescue the world, and we're always going to be safe, and we're always going to be right, and we're always going to have everything go our way.
And our captain is always going to seduce the sexy alien.
Correct. I like it because I like the darker. I like the more mature. I mean, it still is with the typical Star Trek theme of, space travel and finding things out and everything. But I mean, the captain is great. The characters are, really good. I really, really like it. With that being said, I'm concerned about Quentin Tarantino being the director of Star Trek.
Oh my god, I just saw DT's comment, Enterprise failed because people didn't have faith of the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to call attention to it. It's terrible, but...
You're awesome. Oh my god, that's so funny.
And I'm kind of on the fence with John. Okay, Quentin Tarantino's great one. See, to me, I hated Kill Bill. I hated Kill Bill with a passion. But I like some of his other stuff. My biggest issue is I don't know if he can see into what Star Trek is and make it a Star Trek movie, or if he's going to do a Quentin Tarantino movie, in space. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like it depends on if he's a Star Trek fan. Like, is he a Star Trek fan? Because he might be able to pull something out if he's a fan of Gene Roddenberry's vision of the future.
Correct.
Then he might be able to do something really amazing with it. And that's what I'm hoping happens.
I think he is a fan, but as soon as they said rated R, I knew he wasn't going to do something that is viable for Gene Roddenberry's future.
I feel like it's all Japanese blood spurts. The arterial spray. I feel like that's why it's rated R. And
there's no reason ever for a Star Trek or Star Wars movie, something that is, you want a wide range of people coming to be rated R. There's no reason.
I see, that's what I'm kind of concerned about, is that it's rated R. What's going to push it into the R rating? Is it going to be the violence? Is it going to be the language? Is it going to be the blood? What's going to push it over into the R rating?
I feel like it's going to be the arterial blood spray. It's going to be like Klingons or some other alien, at war. There's going to be fights. There's going to be blood spray.
Scotty probably brings up that might be because of nudity. That's fine, but none of those things belong in Star Trek.
Not nudity.
One of them. Star Trek was the beacon of, how do we do a sex scene? Captain Kirk and the lady, they're getting interested, they're kissing. Next thing you know, he's there putting his boots on. Did you see what happened? Nope. Did you need to see?
You know what?
Nope.
If they were doing it on HBO, present day, Captain Kirk would absolutely be getting those nude scenes with the chicks with their tits out.
He'd be down to those boobies.
Absolutely, they would be doing that. Orion slave girls, tits everywhere, green tits everywhere. Yeah. That's how it would be in Gene Roddenberry's universe today.
And he'd be rolling over in his grave if he was in a grave.
I'm optimistic, but I'm concerned. How about that? I'm concerned for the R rating, but I'm optimistic because I want a really good Star Trek show. I want Star Trek to come back in the way it was, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to bring it back the way it was and still keep within it.
They can't bring it back. They can't bring it back the way it was because it's too prosaic now.
But here's what I'm saying.
You need Cersei Lannister, Game of Thrones, all of that bullshit.
Yeah.
It is a big statement on society that we can't do Star Trek anymore because it's not enough. It's not over the top. That's all boring shit. That's what people be saying. There's no tits or violence or anything.
Yep.
And missing the entire point of it, which is sad.
I agree with you 100%, John. I do. I totally agree with you that in my heart, Star Trek is always like 1967. Mm-hmm. James Kirk, Captain
Even
McCoy,
if you go next gen.
Scotty.
Next gen was pretty true to Star Trek too. I'll give it past that. And while I enjoy the heck out of these new Star Trek movies, they're way more actiony than Gene Roddenberry would have wanted. Though I still feel like they're trying.
Yeah.
And Quentin Tarantino is like, that says to me, we're not trying anymore. he said we want to do this. He's a big name. We just want to get butts in seats.
We'll have to see. I'm going to give it a shot, and depending on what we see, I don't think it needs an R rating, though. That's my thing.
No.
So.
And was it Hinton B says that if you compare
full frontal nudity, that's it. But in today's world, that's how it has to be. Is you've got to have some tits because otherwise people aren't gonna. They're not going to pay the price.
And Hinton B says a good thing to end this on. It says, you compare it to Sam Raimi directing Spider-Man.
Oh my God!
War fests, but he's able to tone it down and give us a decent Spidey flick.
Thank you, exactly. I love Sam Raimi. The Raimi brothers.
I don't trust Quentin Tarantino to do that. I think he's too much. I think what he makes, he's too egotistical to make that work right. And, everyone's got faults, and I'm not going to fault him for it. It makes him make the movies he does. He's so enamored with the pop culture and all this stuff, I don't think he can get past it to make a good Star Trek movie. Do I want to be proven wrong? I absolutely want to be proven wrong. I don't expect to be, though.
I will see it regardless, and that's my
I think the biggest statement is that
Star Trek movie, and I will go see it because it's a Star Trek movie, and I feel the same way about Star Wars. So,
I think the biggest statement is, I won't just go see it.
All right. So
I will let you know how it is, John.
Fair enough.
All right. So we're all on the fence on this. I'm optimistic but caution. Kathy's going to go see it. John's 2 tears in a bucket. Fuck it. I'm not going to go see it.
That's where I'm at.
That's fair enough. Fair enough.
With that said, guys, our show's wrapping up. If y'all could do us a huge favor, please go to Facebook, like us on Facebook, go to Patreon, check out our levels. If there's something that seems that you can do to help us out, we really appreciate it. Make sure you like us on YouTube, like us on Twitch, subscribe to each one of them. Every one we get helps us out a lot. It really, really helps us. We're trying to build a little bit better here. And we're getting there. So if you
throw
could,
some
please.
feedback our way, like any feedback you want. Constructive criticism is always good. I don't care if you're like, well, you guys are shit, but if you did this, you'd be better. That's still constructive. I'm down with it.
Yes.
Hit me with
it.
And like this, if there's something you want to see or something you want us to talk about, something you want to be part of, let us know. We don't have a problem. We do this because we like doing it, and we like hearing from y'all, and we love seeing people in the chat getting involved with us while we're podcasting.
Yep.
With that, guys, I think that's another wrap. What do you say?
That's another episode done. Absolutely.
That is a wrap.
All right, next week will be our Christmas episode, holiday episode, whatever you want to call it. We'll have some special stuff done.
Kathy has to wrap Wild Wild West by Will Smith on our holiday episode.
I have not.
Maybe we'll have to see.
We'll have to see.
More likely that'll be the start of the new year. New year, new Wild Wild West.
Here we go. Beth makes a fool of herself in the new year. Well, best to get that out of the way right away.
You only do it once?
I might keep it up there twice.
Great.
All right, guys. We appreciate you listening and hanging out with us for this umpteen amount of time. Make sure everybody has a good night. For More Than Dice, I'm Gonzo.
I'm John.
I'm Kathy. Thank you so much for listening.
If you're not dancing, you're wrong.
Do I get to eat my popcorn while making the sounds of chewing now?
Yes, you can.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I had kind of a shitty connection tonight.
I think you're okay.
Excellent. I'm glad. I felt like I paused 3 times when I didn't need to.
Somehow I'm not drunk.
We gotta work on that next time.
I wish I could say the same. Oh my god.
I mean, I wouldn't drive, but I wouldn't class myself as drunk.
Hello, I haven't even finished my drink yet.
Slackers.